Good afternoon guys, Dark Purple Shadow here today, and I'm going to be talking about Black Myth Wukong. I'm going to be giving my thoughts from chapter 3 onwards, because I already made a first thoughts video on chapter 1 and 2, and yeah, it was interesting. This game was epic. It was one of those games that I look forward to playing, and it did live up to the hype. So overall, it's going to be a relatively positive outlook on the game. I'm going to be talking in detail around each chapter that I played through and how I felt around it and my personal vibes. There will be some negative comments, however overall I want to give my balanced opinion on the game and how I felt playing it. Now this is going to be quite a feeling based review. It's not going to be breaking down exact gameplay mechanics and how I felt about it and how technical it was. I'm going to be giving you my vibes kind of outlook on how I felt about this game. So let me start off by talking about Chapter 3. Okay guys, let's get into it. Chapter 3. Now first and foremost, let's talk about the setting. Chapter 3 is set in a beautiful snowy region. I'm thinking Himalayas, Tibet, Nepal, northern Pakistan, northern India, Kashmir region kind of vibes. Absolutely breathtaking. In fact, I think the real Thunderclap monastery in terms of actual mythology is meant to be somewhere within India. Probably northern India, maybe historically Nepal for real talks, but we'll say it's India. Now Thunderclap Monastery, beautiful. The gameplay in this chapter was amazing. I wasn't really a big fan of the pagoda realm. I didn't really enjoy it. It gave me the creeps, but I think that's what it was meant to do. Now very few games in my big adult age have made me feel so uneasy, but Black Myth Wukong managed to do it in the pagoda realm. It was such a very dark place, and if you are a person who gets scared, I do recommend being a bit careful during that part of the game. Now the boss fights, I would say they were a bit hit and miss. I really did not enjoy the secret boss fight in the pagoda realm. The captain, I can't remember his name, not Wise Voice, the other one, the one that shoots purple beams at you. Again, I really hated that fight. I went back to it later on. I was a bit overpowered and it still was not fun to do. So anybody who found that fight when you're meant to find it and played it as intended, good luck to you. That was painful. Now some of the other fights, obviously the dragon fight in this chapter, the one that's on screen right now, that was wonderful, breathtaking. It wasn't frustrating in the slightest. It was a big jump up in difficulty compared to some of the other fights that we've had, but it was very doable. Unfortunately, I will start off with a bit of a negative now. One of the things that I've noticed in this game is some very cheesy strategies pretty much always work, and if you don't want to be frustrated, it's better to play to those cheesy strategies. And one of those strategies is charging up your heavy attack, keeping a distance and just walloping the boss, and this pretty much worked for me all the way till the end. Unfortunately, as much as I did want to be a hero and dodge everything and be split second perfect, I didn't want to also spend 10 hours in every boss. So if a strategy worked, I just kind of stuck to it and played through it. And now I did feel quite underpowered for some of the bosses. The health bars were quite high, but overall it was a good chapter. I will be mentioning that at this point in the game, towards the end of this chapter, you do unlock the hidden area, the kind of, the tutorial, maybe that's the right word, the kind of base camp area where you can kind of upgrade your armor and build spells and all of that, and build potions and have a farming patch. Now that area is where this guy resides, the Yin Tiger. The Yin Tiger was one of the most difficult fights I've faced in this game. I did fight him around the level I was meant to, well, I guess not meant to, but around the level I discovered him. I don't know what level. Maybe high level 50s, maybe level 60. I don't think I was that high of a level. He was challenging. I did manage to beat him. I did use every cheese strategy in the book. It was, unfortunately, pretty much every boss in this game is pretty much a DPS check. If you don't kill them fast enough, it's over. You don't have the endurance to dodge everything. You can't do 100,000 perfect dodges. I'm not at that level. And if you can do all of that, then good for you. But unfortunately, the DPS check bit of it is how it goes. So yeah, chapter 3, it dragged on a bit. I didn't hate it, I didn't love it either. It's the chapter where I feel like the game, I wouldn't say dropped off, but the peak for me was chapter 2. At chapter 3 it kind of stagnated a bit, and then now I'm going to go on to the next chapter, which is chapter 4. Chapter 4 for me is where things really took a negative turn. Now, in terms of the theme of this chapter, I didn't mind the spiders. I just thought it was very confusing. It was very maze-like. Even when I searched up where to find things and what to do and where to unlock bits and bobs, I just couldn't figure out some places to find. I couldn't find out where the next shrine was. The whole place just looked like every turn you took, you ended up in the same place. I probably spent half an hour going in circles at one point. It was probably the only chapter where I had to put up a YouTube guide on how to walk from one shrine to the next, because otherwise I just got lost. Now, I don't know if that's a me problem. I didn't really feel like a lot of people had similar complaints to me, but this chapter for me personally, in terms of the design of it, was the weakest. I did like the setting and the theme, however the actual mechanical design, how you walk through it, etc., I didn't find it very intuitive. Now that might just be me, that might just be something that I faced, but it's quite unfortunate. I also found that this chapter, you kind of do start locking yourself out of very important gameplay areas as well, and secret stories, etc. Now, I'll get back to that in a second. I'm going to talk about the guy I've got on screen right now, Yellow Long. Now, Yellow Long was where the game took a bit of a turn for me. It was very enjoyable. Then I met Yellow Long, and I pretty much got lost. I didn't know where to go next after Yellow Long. I tried to figure out what the next steps were, and I just got confused. That's when I started walking around in circles. So I decided, you know what, let me kill Yellow Long. I ended up killing Yellow Long. I ended up trying to kill him multiple times, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to level up a little bit before I come back. Just a little bit. I wanted to at least complete the secret areas of this chapter. So I put on a few guides. I completed pretty much all the secret activities, which there was many in this chapter, except one, which is the horse quest. I'll come back to that later on. But I completed pretty much all of the secret activities. I came back to him, and in this footage you can see I eventually killed him. It was a close run thing. I was glad to kill him. I think I died about maybe 15 times to this boss. Slightly less than Yin Tiger actually, but I think with Yin Tiger I feel like it was a skill issue. With Yellow Long I feel like to an extent I was underpowered. He just was too strong. Here I have some footage of some of the secret areas. I don't know chronologically if I killed Yellow Long before I did some of these secret boss fights. I think I killed him in between some of them. But yeah, this is one of the secret boss fights you can lock yourself out of, I think. If you fight the final boss, you can't kill this secret boss and the boss before him. This is the Dusk Veil. There is another secret boss here called Scorpion Lord. A lot of people said that fight was difficult. I didn't find it too bad. But this fight, I just found a bit annoying. A lot of running, this guy teleports away. I think some of the most annoying bosses in this game just teleport really far away, and then you spend basically your entire stamina bar chasing where they are. Cloud Step is useful for catching up, but it doesn't really solve all the issues. So yeah, overall chapter 4, very difficult. I felt like it was by far the biggest difficulty spike. Chapter 3, at no point I felt like I can't do this. Chapter 4, at some points I was like, what's going on here? Now, I don't think I'm a professional Souls player or whatever. I didn't really find Elden Ring had this kind of weird difficulty gap. I just find in this game the difficulty was just so random, and things were difficult because the bosses just seemed to just be a bit too strong. Elden Ring, I don't know, I never found it this difficult. I also play a lot of Nioh 2, and Nioh 2 I feel like the combat is so intuitive and you can get pretty strong in that, so that never feels too hard. I feel like what made Wukong quite difficult for me was that you just need to play with a certain style. You need to be almost not passive, but you need to be methodical with every time you attack. Pull back, be methodical. You can't just rely on reaction time and just dodge everything. It seems like you can because of the way the game's designed, but you can't do that. You have to be very tactical in when you attack and when you don't. Now, when it came to the final boss of this area, the 100-eyed Taoist, whatever, the guy on screen right now, I killed him first try. I think I had the needle. I just had everything ready for him, and I just had a pretty good fight against him. I basically didn't have any issues killing him first time. I was very, very excited when I killed him, but I was also almost like, I heard this was meant to be one of the hardest bosses in the game, but it didn't feel that way. In fact, I found a lot of the secret bosses and the yellow long far harder than this guy. But again, I might have just got a lucky RNG in my fight. So yeah, that's chapter 4. Chapter 3, good. Chapter 4, boring. Or I wouldn't say boring, but like draining. You just kind of get tired at that point in the game. And I've been playing this quite consistently, so I wouldn't say I was burnt out. I was just a bit tired of all of these very difficult bosses and all of these secret areas. It just felt like a slog. It wasn't as long as chapter 3, but it felt worse because it just felt more difficult to navigate, and I would say it was less pretty as well. So yeah, that's chapter 4. I will say, in terms of the negative parts of this game, they kind of were left behind after chapter 4 ended. Chapter 5 was lovely. I really enjoyed chapter 5. I didn't really have any major challenges in terms of difficulty. I think the bosses in chapter 5 were easier. I don't know if that's because maybe I unlocked better weapons and armor. I don't think I did. The yellow long staff helped a bit. I guess it was a much better weapon than the one I used before. But I just think maybe I got the hang of the game. The Bishu Beast was meant to be really hard. I'm pretty sure I killed him first time. Now, in terms of locking yourself out of things, I will say in chapter 5 I ended up getting to the point where you can't do the horse quest anymore. And I had to go back into my game files and reload a previous save and replay about an hour or two worth of, maybe not an hour worth of content, just to get back and do the horse quest. Because if you kill one of the bosses in chapter 5, it locks you out of the horse guy's quest. And personally, there's something about the horse quest. I just really wanted to make sure I do the horse guy's quest. I just felt like I wanted to do it because it felt quite interesting. But I ended up doing the horse guy's quest, no problem. And after that, I didn't really have any qualms with chapter 5. Setting was alright. It wasn't as good as chapter 3. It was interesting, mountainous, fiery, a decent amount of mobs to deal with. Yeah, it was an alright chapter. I wouldn't say it was the best, and it wasn't the worst. It was pretty mediocre. So for me, chapter 5 was a weird time because I expected the game to get even more difficult. But in my opinion, the difficulty kind of curve peaked at chapter 4. I don't know what happened between chapter 4 and 5 for me, but maybe the game clicked a bit and I got that overpowered equipment, so now I'm kind of able to fight back against a lot of these bosses. But yeah, it felt right. So yeah, that's where I'm standing. Chapter 5 was solid and enjoyable, and I wouldn't complain too much. Now when it came to the boss of chapter 5, the Yaksha Beast, or the Yaksha Dude, interesting boss. I thought the design was amazing, felt very anime, felt very dark, felt very evil, felt quite interesting to fight. I think the story and the lore of chapter 5 was quite interesting as well. That being said, the boss fight wasn't too difficult. It was one of those standard Wukong boss fights where it's pretty much just a DPS check. If you don't kill him fast enough, he will probably wreck you, so you best believe DPS, 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 be aggressive, as aggressive as possible. There was this weird sword attack where you kind of have to dodge in a certain way to avoid as much of it as possible. I probably could have got one shot there if I didn't do that. You don't have to dodge everything, but you have to dodge well enough for this boss to not wreck you. Again, it was a so-so boss fight. A lot of people found it enjoyable. I didn't find the fight itself enjoyable. What I did find enjoyable was the sort of animations around it and some of the interactions he has within the fight and some of the kind of trash talk he gives you. But yeah, it was a good boss fight. It was a good chapter. The game kind of starts to wind down. After this, everything kind of happens very quickly. This is the last kind of true chapter. Chapter 6 is interesting. In all honesty, chapter 6 was pretty much just a boss rush. You just go around slapping bosses up, and that's pretty much it. I personally did enjoy that. I did like the kind of urgency of it. You go around trying to unlock Wukong's armor. It was quite interesting. I took a lot from that chapter in terms of the lore. Now, the entire time I've been playing this game, I mentioned it before, I've been reading up on the lore. I was listening to redacted versions of The Journey to the West. I find it interesting. After killing the Yaksha King, I killed some of the bosses in chapter 6, and I decided to go do the secret, difficult, most hardest boss in this game, which is Erlang. Now, I don't know why Erlang wasn't too bad for me. I'd say I had more problem with the Yin Tiger and the Yellow Long. Erlang just felt, I guess, you just follow the strategy and you can defeat him quite straightforward. I did make sure I had everything upgraded and I had all of my kind of ducks in a row before I fought Erlang, so I guess it made it easier for me. Obviously, I did have to do some dodges, clutch dodges here and there. I think what makes Erlang difficult is just those shields, but personally the strategy I employed was I used the fan whenever I could. I made sure my key kept recycling very quickly, and I also used that bouncing top takes bottom, bottom takes top spirit, and that spirit did a lot of damage to his shield, and eventually I got Erlang down. Now, I didn't really realize the epic fight that happens after Erlang is effectively defeated, where you basically have Clash of the Titans. Pretty cool. I kind of wasn't expecting it, so I was in a bit of a rush. I had to leave the house just before this fight, but I completed it. It was almost too easy, which is fine. I guess you just didn't want a super hard challenge. I felt quite overpowered during the fight. In this fight, it didn't feel like it was a boss fight for me. It felt like it was a boss fight for the other dudes I was fighting. I'm not even sure if you can die during this fight. But yeah, epic fight. I don't know how it works if you do die, because as soon as I killed Erlang, I did these two fights pretty quickly. Absolutely epic. The cinematic kind of gameplay during these fights is amazing. The game ran pretty well on my RTX 5080. I did have some very occasional frame drops, which happens, you know. I don't blame the developers. It's one of those things, it does happen. No game can run perfectly fine. But yeah, I had a great time playing this part of the game. And then from here, chapter 6 just goes straight back to, you know, the run to the end of the game, which includes a couple of, I'd say, minor bosses, and then you fight my guy, which was the broken shell of the great sage or whatever. Very, very difficult fight. Again, in my opinion, a DPS check. I think my biggest kind of negative around Wukong's combat is you better do as much damage as quickly as possible. There's kind of no real, I can't explain it. It's almost like kill or be killed, and I know that's what a boss fight is, but it doesn't feel, it feels fast paced in almost a bad way personally. You have to make sure that you're overwhelming the boss. If the boss is given a chance to attack, the boss will overwhelm you. So that's what I kind of did with this. I did use my cheesy strategies with the fan and the top takes bottom, bottom takes top spirit, and I did as much damage as I possibly could. I did enjoy all the cinematics during this fight as well. Would I say it was my favorite fight? Probably not. It was definitely up there in the top 5. Personally, my favorite fight in this game was probably Yin Tiger. I think Yin Tiger was really fun, despite being superly difficult. I didn't really like the long animations to get back into the fight with Yin Tiger. They did get a bit frustrating. Yellow Long was a good fight. I did like the Erlang's fight as well. The game itself, absolutely amazing. I'll be honest, as much as I've said quite a lot of negative things about it, it was amazing. The mythology, getting into it, such a different storyline. I did like the fact that there was no class system of weapons. You just pretty much stick with the staff. Lovely. Can't really complain. For me, this game was easily a 9 out of 10. Chapter 4 was crap though. My personal hate for Chapter 4 aside, this was an amazing game. Beautiful graphics. It was a true spectacle. Cinematic overload. In fact, it was one of the few games where I went in and really tried to understand the lore, and it taught me a lot about, I guess, the Chinese way of thinking and the Chinese mythology, stuff that I didn't really know. I think it will be good for every kind of major culture to have their version of an epic game, because the Chinese really knocked out the park with this. It was immense. The graphics are literally some of the best I've ever seen. It ran pretty well. It was the reason why I upgraded my PC from a GTX 1080 to an RTX 5080, and now I feel like I'm ready to play some other really good games. Personally, for me, this was amazing, and anyone who's on the fence about trying it, please give it a go. As somebody who's played Elden Ring, Neo 2, etc., I did find this game a challenge. It wasn't easy by any means, and unfortunately some of the cheesy strategies are some of the only way to beat bosses. I wouldn't say I got stuck on any boss more than, let's say, an hour or two, maybe 3 hours at most with Yin Tiger. A lot of that was because of stubbornness. I didn't need to kill those bosses at that point in time. Now, if you're somebody who wants to perfect and do things without any cheese, you're probably going to have some difficulty in this game, but regardless, all of the pros heavily outweigh the cons. I think this game probably does need some sort of a sequel. I don't know what they'll do. Maybe some other mythology of some sort from China. It'll be interesting. But yeah, I'm a big fan, and I might be playing some more into New Game Plus. But I'm not really a New Game Plus kind of guy. I'm more of a one and done kind of guy. Try the next thing. But that might change for a game like this, just to see those spectacles one more time, or maybe more than that. But yeah, that's me. That's Black Myth Wukong. Epic, amazing, and beautiful. Thank you. Please subscribe. Dark Purple Shadow.